Okay, officially starting now. Om Vasudevasutam Devam Kansachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. My pranams at the lotus feet of the Lord and all Bhagwan Shri Krishna and all the Devi Devtas and everyone. You know, often I wonder when I was young, sitting in the temple, I'm from Ipoh, and I'd be sitting in front with my mother or my sisters or whatever, and people go matha teko, they'll go and and I used to wonder, what are they doing so long? What are they saying? I can tell you what I said. I'm nervous like heaven, I won't say hell, because I really had no time, and it is one of those things where I told Swamiji, is like, please speak through me. I told Hanumanji, speak through me. They're all going to speak through me today, and I really, really need your understanding, because it's one of those days when I just haven't got it together, collected. But I have faith in the Lord, and I have faith in my audience that all of you will be the most forgiving and accepting of audience. On that note, a blessed Geeta Jayanti to everyone. I think this is one of the most special days. Personally, it has become over the years for me. When at the point that I didn't know about Geeta Jayanti before Swamiji, in the early years he didn't mention it, and later years it came about. It was one of the things that connected so well, because the Gita is just complete. It is delivered by Shri Krishna, whom, again going back to Ipoh, very much a Shri Krishna temple, so it was always Lord Krishna temple. He's very close to us. Then also, when you talk about the Gita, Swamiji brings the Gita. So his Guru Gita and Gopal come together as one. So Geeta Jayanti is really, really very special. And today is Ekadashi, which we know is the 11th day of the lunar month, and it comes twice a month. Twice a month, so there are two Ekadashis a month, the waxing and the waning. So in a year, therefore, there are 24 Ekadashis, and they are known to be very auspicious days, and people fast on it, abstain from eating rice, and there's a story about that too. And each of these Ekadashis is connected and has its own significance. I've said this in the previous Geeta Jayanti, I'm not going to go so much into detail, but just about the one that we are having right now. So like for instance, to give you context, Putrada Ekadashi is when people observe that and they are blessed for, they pray, they do the fasting, they do the prayers so that they can be blessed with a child, or maybe some of them specifically a son, because Putrada. Then Papa Mochini is basically to eradicate our sins. We accumulate sins without knowing. None of us is flawless. Even Shri Krishna says in the Gita, we flaw without even knowing it sometimes, right? So this is where Papa Mochini. So, but today's one is a different Ekadashi. It's Mokshada Ekadashi. So what is Mokshada? In the way that Swamiji always does it, he breaks up the words into syllables. And that gives it a whole different context than looking at the word in totality. So he says Mo is delusion or ignorance, and Kshar is perish, Da is to give. So if you put these three words together, he says what it becomes Mokshada Ekadashi is which perishes ignorance, which perishes our delusion. So it is a very powerful Ekadashi. That's why Geeta Jayanti is on this particular one, on Mokshada Ekadashi. So it is not salvation by death that we want. We don't. We know that. When we read the Gita, what we want is never to come back in this circus. Birth and death and birth and death, and then, like Swamiji say, go out to the front door, come back to the back door, or, whichever. We just keep coming back again and again. So in Sri Bhagavad Geeta itself, it is so special because it is like the only scripture that is actually spoken in the words of the Lord himself, delivered by the Lord himself. He must have paid a pretty high announcer's fee or a speaker fee, because at the rate that speakers are getting paid nowadays. But he actually delivered this one directly, and it's from the lotus lips of the Lord. And till today, look at as many versions of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and there is not even one that has any change to the verses. Yes, there's a little bit of a contest about 700 or 701, but that's just an academic discussion. But the words, the mantras themselves, have never been mutilated in any way. So this is what is the amazing thing, that it's in the pure form The Lord gave it, and we are still able to rise it. Like Swami used to say, "Bacha bacha should read the Gita," and that's what our teachers in the ashram have done from day one, and they continue. Now we have the young teachers like Anjana, we have Asha, we have Sudesh, Tangamani, so many. Doesn't matter. I mean, innumerable the duty that they do. So we are at the final countdown today. It's 17 auspicious days. For those who are fortunate for all 17, today's your graduation. I can imagine how you're feeling about it. It must be exhilarating, a spiritual exhilaration. Now in verses 1 to 12, Shri Krishna says, do not renounce your duty. And please wear your specs, he's telling me. Do not renounce your duty. Renounce attachment to the fruit. And what does it mean by fruit? Again, going back to my young times, I remember I always used to hear in Punjabi, they say, falla mitha. I don't say, what fruit are they talking about? There's no fruit. I don't see a fruit. The only fruit I see is the prasad. Everybody's getting it. What is this falla they always say? Are people actually getting a falla from somewhere, a fruit from somewhere? I used to be really, really confused. So what is this fruit about? Now when they say there's no fruit, when we actually say, tell the Lord that, we are doing this selflessly, we have actually not taken any credit, so there's nothing that we expect, and we don't have the bondage. The fruit is actually a trick. We ask for it, but we get good fruits, happiness. We get not good fruits, bad, which is brings tears into us because the anjam is not good, the result is not good, or we get mixed. Yes, I won, I'm very happy, but my best friend lost, or my brother lost, and so it's like a mixed fruit. And this is what it's saying, it's still bondage, because it brings you back to that whole chain of emotions. So Shri Krishna also says, do your bounded duty. You can give up duty, but you can't give up the bounded duty. You can say you don't want to do certain actions, but you have a duty. What is your bounded duty? You have a duty as a parent. You have a duty as a teacher. You have a duty as an employer, as a child, as a prime minister of a unity government. You have a duty. We have a duty as citizens. The sun has a duty. The moon has duty. They shine every day without fail. The moon is there nourishing the plants, without say. So let's say, we tend to compare and say another person's action or duty or work or job looks better than ours. The grass is always going to be greener on the other side, even in a desert. And now let's say the moon starts comparing with the sun, just like how we humans do, and the moon starts saying, if so nice, if only I could be like the sun, so powerful, so bright, so brilliant. I even have to depend on my light from the sun. No independence. The sun is so independent. And people even take yoga lessons to do Surya Namaskar to the sun. Nobody takes moon Namaskar at all. None at all. If only I was the sun and I was having that, what kind of impact would it have had? And now on the contrary, let's say the sun also says the same. They also start comparing like how we humans are so indisciplined and say it's always eyeing the other. Oh, you bought that sari, so beautiful, which shop, which whatever. And the poor lady will give us the name of the shop we go and buy, and having the same one and wearing on a function when she's wearing. Not fair, right? But here, let's say the sun now says, I want to be like the moon. It's so cool. It has so many songs around it. Blue moon, tu mera chand mein teri chandni. So romantic, the moon. I want to be like the moon. It even gets visitors from earth. Nobody can even come and visit me. Now the sun makes a comparison. Nobody can visit me. I think I'll turn down my heat and become more cool. We know the catastrophe that's happening. We are living through climate change. Drastic things are happening. We see the red zones, we see that, and it's scary. Small islands are going to be drowned. So who are we to say that we don't want to do our duty? We are not. And that's why that is happening. So the sun and the moon stay very, very loyal, and they do their job. So when we talk about fruits of action, like I said just now, good, bad, or mixed, the important thing is, whole life, we are doing action. So coming back to the fruit. So every action that we do is actually got a fruit. Now we can leave the fruit there. We don't have to take it. We can place it at the feet of the Lord and say, thank you very much. You've given me more than enough. We can give it to somebody else, we can do, but we don't want any part of it. We never asked for it and we didn't want it. But in that fruit, let's say now it's a really nice one. You're getting benefits from it. You get a nice house, nice car. You really get a lot of material things, and you say, wow. So that's a good fruit. The minute you take that, in that fruit, there are seeds. That's the problem. If you just take that one fruit and you stop there, it's okay. But every fruit comes with seeds. And that's where our greed grows. And say, now let me also, the other seed, let me plant it. Just one more. Last one. Who are we bargaining with? Who are we bargaining with? We're always cheating ourselves, right? So this is where we create more fruits, more seeds, more trees, and we have a whole bagicha, we have the whole garden that won't even finish with all our birds. It wouldn't. Because we are right here, right now, actually not even enjoying the fruits of this birth yet. It's from all the past births. We haven't even finished that and we are already accruing new ones. So what exactly are we doing? This chain of action, reaction, fruit, bondage, countless births and deaths. So this is where we have to check ourselves and break this chain. How? Karma yoga. Selfless action. Anything that we do, we place it at the feet of the Lord. We are not the doer. And we will be looking at this as well when we look at the 5 causes. We are not the ones. Renounce the fruit of action, because we already have so many. If we could put our fruit as real fruits like phal, like I thought they were getting in the temples, then they would all be gone bad by now, because our greed is just intense. No stop, insatiable. That's what we are. Then in verses 13 to, just looking at the time, 13 to 18, this is where I said that Shri Krishna speaks very nice. Actually, I love this particular verse. He speaks about the 5 factors to be present for any action to be accomplished. We always feel, right, we've done a good job, hard job, successful, time for a nice cold drink, or nice to go out and hang out with my friends and have some good coffee. Because we feel we have done it. And there's so much of effort gone into it. Shri Krishna says, reality check, hold on. So let's go. So he says, firstly, for any action to be accomplished, to be completed and be successful, he said you need 5 things. Number 1, and Swamiji calls it the plot, like a plot of land. If you want to make a house, first you need the plot. So you need that seed. You need that seed. You need that seed, and that is our body. Let's look at our body itself. The second thing you need is a doer. So now this is the tricky part. Who is the doer? This is where we can unpack and have millions of forums on this, because it's going to go on. So the doer is what it is called, is the enabler, or the karta. That is actually a more apt word, is the person that's actually, not the person, is the let's say the energy or the force that is actually enabling that to be done. And the third one is the sense functions. Yes, so imagine, okay, so I said now I need a body to carry out this project. That means I need a person. But the doer has to be in it. So a dead body will not do. The difference between a dead body and a live body is a doer. So that is why the second quality is there. Now the third one is sense functions. You need someone to build something. They've got to have strong arms. They've got to have everything, their limbs working. They've got to run up and down. So they have to have all their bodily functions, their toolkit in working order. So this will be how you'll make a choice and say, okay, not you, maybe because you know you're having this back issue. So you sit down and let's get someone else. So you look at what is a good match. And this is where the sense functions come in. So the third one, so Krishna says, okay, Arjun, you have this body. You have this enablement where you can do it. You have the sense functions, you're strong, very takara kind of a warrior, very good. Now the next thing is effort. Number 4, effort. Krishna says the 4th thing that for action to be accomplished is effort, where the activities are carried out. Now at this point, Arjun is not putting in effort to fight the war. So Krishna says, you're still low on that energy right now. But this is what we need, effort. So effort is because you have your toolkit in order, and from your past record, they say, okay, basically a good worker will do it. So that's good. So now what's the 5th one? The 5th one is called Devam in that mantra. And Devam has got several meanings. And Swamiji says, this is the only verse in the entire Bhagavad Gita where Shri Krishna talks about luck. Because Devam has got several meanings. But the meanings are divinity, providence, fate, luck, anything that he says, but it is coming down to your fate and luck. He says Krishna never talks about luck anywhere. This is the only place that it exists, and that's Swamiji's interpretation. And if you look at it now, Arjun, yes, you're the body, you're the seed, your body is, very good, it's very alive, you're very able, you're the doer. Your toolkit, your sense functions are very good, all in good order. Effort, I know, once you get up and fight this war, you'll be like the best warrior, putting current aside. And but now the fifth factor, Arjun, is not in your hands. It's not in your hands. Even if you try it, Devam is not in your hands. Fate is not in your hands. Luck is not in your hands. Providence is not in your hands. So the beauty of this verse, it tells us, is look at our ego when we say we did it. 4 of the functions are, let's say, within our control. We can keep our sense functions going, we can keep them good. But the 5th one is the decider. So when the Gita says that we are not the cause of something, and we have the ego to say we did it, without the providence, without the divinity, without that, nothing is going to happen. So before we think and say the 4 factors are mine, the final role was not ours. And that is the decision and the tiebreaker. So this is where the Lord is telling Arjun, think of that, okay? So even your 4 can function, but without mine, the action will not be complete. And the difference is, without your 4, my 5 can still happen, because I can perform miracles. So therefore, we are sitting at home and suddenly we receive a news, we did nothing and we got something really pleasant news. And we wonder, where is this, kindness coming from? This is the past gardens that we had from previous births. They are bearing fruition now. But this is fate, this is luck, this is providence, this is the God, this is not us. So therefore, the effort is ours definitely, but not this part of it. And this is what we need to remember. The cause is not, so what he's telling Arjun is, therefore, you are not the cause of this war. Why do you not want to fight? You think it's not going to happen? This is already chapter 18. I told you in chapter 9, I told you in chapter 10, I showed you in chapter 11. You don't believe live telecasts. We watch football and we believe the scores. And we still hope that there's a camera fault because now they can do the third umpire kind of thing. But he says, you believe me, my telecast, flawless. So in verses 19 to 28, we talk about the knowledge, the action, and the doer. So we look at it, the 3 kinds. There's SRT, Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. Yes, not SRK. Anjana looked up immediately, like I made a blunder, woo-woo. Okay. So he says, let's look at 3 kinds of these things. Knowledge, doer, and action. So now let's put this together. We talk about Sattvic first, then we talk about Rajasic, then we look at Tamasic, and it becomes easier. So when you talk about Sattvic knowledge, let's say we want knowledge in a Sattvic way. We consume knowledge that is Sattvic. What does that mean? That means we are seeing the one imperishable being undivided among all the divided. That means in everyone that we see here, we are seeing the one imperishable. There's only one imperishable. That spirit, that soul, call it with form, without a form, we are seeing it in everyone. That is called Sattvic knowledge. So therefore, if we are holding on to Sattvic knowledge, our faith is in Sattvic knowledge. Therefore, what happens now? As a doer, now talk about Sattvic doer, automatically you'll be free from attachment because everyone is the same. We belong to each other, everyone. What is talking about belonging? No more. You're free from attachment. You're not egoistic because we are all one. We are all towards the same cause. And not just that. The firmness and the enthusiasm will still be there. Let's do it together. We are one. This is our cause. So this is when you have Sattvic knowledge, you become a Sattvic doer. So it starts with what we are hearing, what we are contemplating on, and what we are consuming. Then we become a Sattvic doer. And when we become a Sattvic doer, what happens? Now we are free from attachment, right? So the Sattvic action basically says now, we do things obligatory. We don't expect anything. Because it's just like doing work in my house, I don't expect a payment. It's within that same context because everything is mine, is my family. Do I charge my son for a meal or my husband for sitting on the chair or something? No. Or can anyone charge me for it? No. Because this is where a Sattvic knowledge, Sattvic doer, and then Sattvic action. This is what happens. So it is not desiring the fruit because it's all one. Ghar ka mamla, as they say. Okay, now we go on to Rajasic. Let's say now we are holding on to Rajasic knowledge because the Rajasic tendencies are greater in us. So what is a Rajasic knowledge? It says that the manifold existence, everyone is separate. Dato is Dato. I am I. Ramesh is Ramesh, Dr. Ramesh. I am I. Vanita is Vanita. So we do the distinction. We don't see everyone as one. We see it as manifold existence. So therefore, What happens when when it's seen separately? The feelings of competition comes in, desire comes in. For me, not for you. Ego comes in. I did it, not you. I brought in the project, not you. Resorting to violence when it becomes really ugly. Experiencing joy and sorrow. What if I lose it? All these things happen. So therefore, what kind of rajasic doer then do we become? Become passionate, because now there's something I need to. Earlier got no motivation. A person like that will say, what for? Everybody the same, nothing, no motivation. I need someone to make me, push me. So they need that competition, passionate. They want the fruit of action. Even resorting to violence, because it's mine. I've invested the most in it. There can be impure thoughts, and they can be swayed by joy and sorrow. That means that will dictate their action and how they treat the other people. So therefore the action, what happens? They work very, very hard because they are personally invested in it. They work very hard. Not to say the sattvic will not work hard, they work just as hard. But they don't have the thing that is mine and I'm only doing it for myself. It's for everybody and we are one. So the rajasic want to do a lot of work, great toil, but they are promoted by desire and egoism. That is their propelling factor. Then the tamasic knowledge, the last one. Basically holding on to what? God is one, everybody is one. No. Everybody is separate. No. There's only me. It's me and me. It starts with me, it ends with me. I'm the Lord, I'm the boss, I'm the tauke, I'm the everything. It's me. Nothing beyond me. What God? Do you see God? Can you show me God? Okay, call your God. Standing there every time, what is he doing? When the food runs short, does he go down? This kind of words will be coming up from someone like that. So the tamasic knowledge will say, it is me. I can make a difference. I can donate. I can call the caterers. I can give the money. It's me. At the same time, they are the tamasic. They confuse right from wrong. They don't know whom they are insulting. They don't care who is in front of them. Totally, right becomes wrong, wrong becomes right. So what kind of doers then do they become? Because they have that kind of knowledge, it's all about me. Now they become unbalanced. They lose their sense of discrimination between right and wrong, justice and injustice. They become stubborn. They become deceitful. While the rajasic one just wants to go all the way passionate, this one deceitful. No, can cheat, cut corners is okay. Put less cement. The bridge may fall 10 years later. They don't care. It could be their very own family law of karma. No, the government is bad. It will never be about them in this case. They'll be malicious, they'll be lazy, they'll be despondent, they will procrastinate. Why are you worried? I'm in charge. Nobody's going to tell me anything. Nobody's going to tell you anything. So what happens to their action? Whatever they do is not informed. It is out of ignorance. It is for their own selfish regard. They don't care who is going to impact badly. They don't care about the results. They don't care who is going to lose a life. They don't care who is going to be injured. That's tamasic. So just now we looked at knowledge, doer, action. Now very quickly we look at intellect, firmness and happiness. So the same thing now, flow. So sattvic buddhi. If someone has intellect, which is sattvic. What is sattvic buddhi? Basically, it's an understanding when we know when to engage, when to act, when to say something. We know when to step back. We know when to withdraw. We know when to go forward, because intellect is vivek, discrimination, the power of discriminating right and wrong. When do I act? When do I not act? So they have this. What to do, what not to do. What is fear? What is fearlessness? When should I be fearless? In the face of justice, I should be. They know what binds, what liberates. So their buddhi is very sattvic. Therefore, their firmness will also be such that they are able to step back. They are not stubborn. In this point, a lot of people get hurt. They know when to step back. They can discriminate. Their mind is very strong. And how do they do this? They develop it through what? Yoga, where they control the functions of the mind. That mind is able to help them. So therefore, they get what you call sattvic happiness. It is very challenging to practice anything sattvic, but the sattvic joy is like poison in the beginning and nectar in the end. That's what Shri Krishna says. Anything that's in the beginning is like poison, but nectar in the end, just like you send a child to school, they study, later they reap the benefits, that's nectar. He says, born of blissful sattvic knowledge, and that is what you call sattvic. Same thing now with buddhi, firmness and happiness. If the buddhi, if the intellect is rajasic inclined, they will wrongly understand dharma and adharma. If something goes wrong, see, your God did this. What can your God do? I paid so much, I did so much, I invested, and then you tell me to pray to this God, I prayed, now what happened? So they never look at it as their fault. Swami Ji says, anything wrong? Bhagavan ki. It's his fault. If it's something gone wrong, it's me. So they said they totally get dharma and adharma wrong, and they don't know. And their firmness, they have that. that fortitude, that firmness, the strength of mind. But what do they use it for? Where the sattvic firmness uses it to make the right decisions, to be discriminating about right and wrong, truth and false. Here they use it to cling on to wealth, cling on to virtue, cling on to pleasures, cling on to things that they can get more and more, amass more wealth, amass more gold and whatever. So their happiness is just like not the poison first and nectar at the end. Now they are nectar in the beginning, who are enjoying so much of money. Okay, eat, drink and be merry. And they buy and they eat more and drink more and sleep more and do whatever more. And what happens in the end, we know. That's poison. And Dr. Anjana can fill you on that and all the doctors. And this is derived from the contact of senses with their objects, right? So this is where we are going into talking about that. And you said I have until 8:40. Oh, 8:45, okay. Let me know because I don't want to overshoot. Okay, then finally the tamasic buddhi from the, so now you're the flow. Just put them together and then it's easier to understand. So when it's tamasic buddhi, so now our intellect is inclined to tamasic, it's in darkness. You know, misled by people. You don't really know. Some people are unfortunately in that. They don't know better. Just imagine sometimes a child has parents that are ignorant or is giving them the wrong values. Karmically, the child is born there for a reason, maybe to change the parents' illiteracy, but at that time they are being fed with this. If anyone scolds you, you just take this pin and you just poke them. When they are young, it's a pin. Later, they know that any instrument that can harm somebody or injure someone. So these are the values that are given. So this is tamasic buddhi. So it's totally enveloped in darkness. What is adharma? Like Rajasic was, what is dharma? They call it adharma. But tamasic willfully, wrongly accepts only adharma and says this is dharma. Doesn't even look at dharma. Adharma is the one. The lack of dharma. Takes the opposite stand on everything. And therefore, what is their firmness, right? Sleep, oversleeping is not good. They don't want to give up sleep. People say fear is no good. They want fear. They want to instill fear in others too. Grief is not good to give. Grief is not good. I want to be the terror. I want to give people grief. Despair, arrogance, they have all these things mounting. So what is their happiness? Their happiness is born of sleep. Today I slept 24 hours. Wow. Not bad. Even Kumkaran can lose to me. Sloth, as lazy. I'm not doing. See, I can just, the whole house is working. My power is so great. I just need to sleep, be lazy, watch TV. That's it. That's all. Heedless. They don't listen to anyone. Try giving any good advice. It'll fall on deaf ears. So it dilutes them in the beginning. It dilutes them in the middle. It dilutes them in the end. And that's tamasic. So that's what we check ourselves. Now going on to verses 40 to 48, the gunas. This is where the varnas are talked about. I don't want to use the word caste because it has a different connotation, but Swamiji uses varna as the Gita does. So Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra. So when we talk about these four, this is one of the most contentious, especially when you talk about the caste system. The Brahmins think they're superior, and the Kshatriyas think they're also superior, then the Vaishyas think this, and the Sudras, and everybody looks down. And this is never meant to be. Firstly, the four varnas were created not as a division among people to make them fight or feel superior, inferior. We all work, we do personality profiles, we do different kind of charts about ourselves and see what personality, what's my leadership like, what's my thinking patterns like, what is my emotional intelligence like. It's as simple as that. Because people are not the same. Do whatever you want to do and tell me I will never ever be able to do mathematics or maths. Never ever. Never. So what category do you put me in now? Brahman, Kshatriya? So it's different. So what I can't do is I can't do trade because I'm not good in business. I don't have that interest. So everyone has their own passion and their own inclination. And that's what it is basically. So the duties are now, Swamiji says, and the Gita says here, Shri Krishna says, the qualities of a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra are born of what? Their respective nature, not their respective family. Their respective nature, not their respective family. We keep having the pride, oh, I was born in this family and the lineage I have. Krishna says, are you reading? It's the nature. Therefore we have Prahlad, was born in a Daitya family, in the Asura's family. He was all saint. He's born there, so he should be an Asura too. He should have demoniac tendencies, did he? No. The Lord knows by karma where to put who. So it is not by birth at all. And this is just basically an organization chart to see what qualities that people have. Those who are inclined to knowledge, to reading, to getting more, you give them one PhD, they want to do 20. That's Brahmin. They want to collect, not to say others do not. It's a combination of traits. Kshatriyas, immediately heroism. Swamiji says you put a revolver in front of a few people, the one who have the Kshatriya blood in them, the warrior blood, they will go and pick up the revolver. No knowledge of using it, they want to use it, they want to try it. Because that warrior thing is in them, inbuilt. And Swamiji said, if you give me, I'll shiver and I'll tremble and I'll drop the revolver. And it's true, and I think I'll go through the same. Because I've been faced before, I think when we went to our village in Baba Bakala, and they actually told, they were holding revolvers there like crazy, and I ran away from there. You know, so no. And one gunshot, and I just had to close my ears, because for them it's a game. In Punjab, everybody's holding these guns and just shooting in the sky. So this is where you can tell. And Vaishyas, basically, those are good at trade. Swamiji says, if you look at it, some people are so good, you give them just an empty piece of land, a little bit of money, and they can come up with business. They'll grow it like nobody's business. He says, the poor Brahman look at that and say, maybe I'll buy some flowers for the temple. Maybe, you know, it's not that, because everyone's nature drives them to what they are. And he says, then the Shudras, never ever, Swamiji says, call them as low class. They do service, the mother does service to the child. That is the Vaishya thing coming in, the Sudra thing coming in. The father does service to the child. So is it bad? We have actually all four in us, but there's dominance. So there's no such thing. And this is not, and having a caste is not Hindu. Gita is universal. Whatever words in it are universal. Therefore, it's not only for those who are Hindu. This is our caste system. This our, no. My friend, our good friend and brother Yo over there, who has been with the family for years, he is more vegetarian than any one of us. He's just yoga every day. I'm not praising you, Yo, saying the facts. And he's selfless. The way he goes to Penang, my mother is there, he does things for my father, he does for my father. They say it's like his other son. You know, this is selfless duty. Did he have to be, now can I say he's not a Brahmin? Can I say he's not, how do I classify him? No, cannot, he's Chinese, look for another, for whatever varnas that you need. It's not like that, right? So this is where, so how do we get highest perfection? Krishna says, no caste is high, no caste is low. No duty is bad, no duty is bad, is good. It is, take it as it is. It is what it is perfection. It leads you to perfection. If you do your duty well, and you don't abscond from it and say, no, I want to do the other person's duty, like the moon must become the sun must become the moon, there's chaos. He says you will never reach perfection unless you do your duty, do it with dedication, and do it with perfection. Then in the verse 50 to 57, attain perfection. How do you, reaching Brahma, how is that happening? To reach Brahma, that's our ultimate. We don't want to come back in this body again and again. We were dogs, we were cats, we were caterpillars. My daughter is very scared of, Divya is here, very scared of cockroaches. She is called Daddy from a mile. She sees a cockroach and Daddy will run. So every father is a Superman to the daughter. And what happens, I say, what? You can't even handle a cockroach, there's a spray there. And she cannot. Because for her, it is about, it's fear, that's the way I'm made. But when you want to reach perfection, you have to learn to look everything, you have to look inward and say, at one time, I'll tell her you were a cockroach too. It's true, we've evolved. Say what we want to, we have evolved from all those dunya, right? Now we think the human, but we have come a long way, baby, long, long way. So this is, what is our ultimate goal therefore? Resigning. Shri Krishna says, mentally. Now this verse 57 is cute. He says, mentally resign all actions to me. Because he knows, when I say, Krishna says, if I say leave everything to me, the child will leave the homework there, tomorrow morning never do. Why never do homework? You say, can leave everything to God? But he never did my homework. So he says here very clearly in verse 57, mentally resign all actions to me. He knows we are so clever. We find that loophole in every clause with, this contract called the Gita. He says, and your mind rested on me. And equanimity, jo hoga, you put your effort in, acha hoga. That's it. And in the last few verses, 58 to 62, he said, your mind must be fixed on me. I just want your mind. Continuously, he says, I only want your mind. You will overcome all difficulties. But if out of pride, you won't listen to me because you think I'm just merepek, I'm just saying things out of no experience, then you will perish. And he says it in strong words. And he's an authority. And the Lord never forgets. In the beginning, in chapter 2, verse 11, Arjun says, I will not fight. And the bow and the arrow and everything just dropped. And then Shri Krishna just smiled at that time. Because he knows at some point I'll address this disposition of Arjun. So at the end he says, he says, by egoism, you think I will not fight. So he's telling Arjun, what you said I will not fight in chapter 2, I'm telling you now in chapter 18, there's nothing more than your ego. He says, by egoism, you think I will not fight. It's delusion. And it's in vain. Your own nature, Arjun, will drive you to fight. You're a Kshatriya. You can kill many cockroaches, unlike Divya. So democracy is free will. And that's what the Gita gives us. There's not even one place that Krishna tries to force us, because now in verse 63 is my all-time favorite verse, I always say, because this is what the beauty of the Gita is. He says, I've given knowledge more secret than all secrets. You reflect on it fully and then act as you wish. This is human nature. You force people, they'll push back more. Action, opposite reaction, same. But you give them free will. Why you never asked me to do? Let me read the Gita more. Or why you never gave me Diksha? Let me go, everybody. The curiosity becomes more. And this is where Krishna is using that and say, you reflect and then you act. And I love this phrase, and I really love this verse. And this has been an enabler, because Swamiji, our Guru, has never forced us to do anything ever. He has never ever passed any judgment on anyone. And I know all his disciples will say the same thing. You go there and he will just say, Beti, Beta, how, and that's it. The sweetest conversation. And this is basically then ending with a lesson in sales. What do customers want when you give them something? They want some promises, they want some assurance. So in verses 64 and 66, Krishna tells Arjun, you are exceedingly dear to me, not like a salesman. A very special customer. I make you a promise, okay, I send you this vacuum cleaner. So now what is the Lord saying? Fix your mind on me. Be devoted to me. Worship me. Prostrate before me. And you shall come to me only. Truly, my promise. He didn't ask for flowers. Swamiji was saying he's not hungry for prasad. He said actually that when we prepare the menu is for ourselves, it's not for the Lord. It's true, what we like, what was nice last time, which caterer was good, and we talk about that, the flowers which are nice, Monica is really good with this. I mean, I always admire, really, really beautiful, but the whole feeling is so beautiful. And the Lord says, I just want your mind. Worship me, that's it. So as loving as he is to his devotees, he doesn't force himself on non-believers. So in the last few verses he says, don't speak to this to anyone who is not willing to listen, not austere, don't even need. If they speak ill of me, cut them out. For the teachers, he says, those with supreme adoration who teach this to my devotees, they will attain me, no doubt. So this is a very big promise is given. None does me a dearer service, not today, not yesterday, not tomorrow. And he says that. The spirit of sacrifice, give it back. Something for the students, if you study, you're worshipping me, how? Because this is called the sacrifice of wisdom. And that is my conviction. Something for the listeners. He says, all you have to do is hear with faith, and you can be liberated. So every minor clause has been covered. There's no escape. We just have to listen. Even if you hear, like, I always say, even let's say 30 seconds, we just have to devote our attention. That goes into the bank. In not the today's bank, but in the tomorrow's bank. And at the end of the class, then Shri Krishna asks Arjun, did you hear with single-minded devotion? Is your delusion born of ignorance? 2 questions. And Arjun, like Swamiji says, only answers 1. He goes straight to question 2. He doesn't say, did you hear? Because automatically, he's a clever student. When he answers the first question, the second question, the first is answered. So what did he say? He said, my delusion, by your grace, my delusion is destroyed. That means I heard. Otherwise, I wouldn't. My memory has come back. Sarvasya chaham. We've heard this many times before he had heard this. We have all heard many things, but ignorance is not always dispelled. Listening is not the big deal. Listening and the grace of Shri Krishna, that's what Arjun said, by your grace. So we always have to make ourselves humble and go humbly to the teacher. So just like we read many times over, the meaning becomes more apparent. And Arjun says, then I shall do thy bidding. So once the student says that, Swamiji says there's nothing else for the Guru to say, and he leaves. And now Sanjaya speaks of his ecstasy of hearing this beautiful discourse and also seeing the Lord's form, the Hari's form that filled up the entire cosmos. And then he says, wherever there's Krishna, Lord of Yoga, wherever there's Partha the archer, assured is there prosperity, victory, glory, and sound policy. And we know that Krishna is everywhere. What do you mean? Wherever there is Krishna, the Lord of Yoga, is everywhere. Wherever there's Partha, we have to make ourselves Arjun, because these two conditions will be met only if we become Partha. The questioning mind, the guileless mind, the open mind, only then. And this is what we need to do to surrender. Now, can I just take 1 minute of your time? I know I'm over time a little bit. Is it okay? Okay, this why I want to read this is because, you know, Peter Ganglani, some of you may know, he has his Sunday program. And just 2 days ago, my sister in US, Kanta, she spoke, and I want to share this because this has got a beautiful formula, and it was her conversation with Maharaji, which I think is going to help everyone. And forgive if there are tears. So what I read is all by her. I've just transcribed it. Being a young adult then, I had started to look at the meaning of chapter 12 more closely and felt dejected. So I was waiting for Swamiji to come to share my dejection. When Swamiji came to town, I said to him that I'm not a good person because chapter 12 has all these high expectations and I fall very short. One is free from anger, free from a fear, anxiety, shouldn't hate, shouldn't grieve, nor desires. And I told Swamiji, I get angry and upset with people, and sometimes I don't do the right things. I recall how Swamiji listened very calmly, and when I'd finished, he looked earnestly at me and he said, okay. He did not refute what I said. Then he said, tell me, how many minutes a day do you feel angry? He waited for an answer. And how many minutes a day do you spend hating someone actively? And how many minutes a day do you get upset with someone? We went through the math, and he does his calculations against the number of total minutes in a day, and the percentage is given. Then he says, see, that is not bad at all. His conclusion was, you are my beti, my daughter, and you are good. You can work on these minutes with practice, and you will be fine. For many of you who know Swamiji, he is a wizard using numbers to convey an abstract idea into something and gets concrete and actionable. I must say that I've taken on this lesson until today, and oftentimes I find myself going back to this message. I say to myself, count the minutes, practice, and pass it back to Krishna. I do believe I thank Swamiji each day for this message, and I share it with my family, my kids particularly. Let's recite. That was from Kanti. I think it's beautiful. I liked it, very practical. Let's do Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna one time, and that's it. The last verse. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhute Dhruva Nirtir Mama. बोल श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय। बोल पूज्य गुरुदेव महाराज की जय। बोल गीता माता की जय।